Hello everybody, today I want to kind of talk about Warframe, this game right here in front of your face. The main concept of it is kind of space ninjas, and it's free-ish. I'll be able to get into that a bit more once you understand the concept, but for now, we'll just go right up here. And now this game is, you get to optimize your character and your guns and stuff. So right now I have this specific frame, and you can go in here and there's different mod slots. We'll get into that a little bit later. So you can kind of change how your character plays a bit. You can switch out different guns and everything. So right now we're just gonna jump into a quick match, kind of show you a little gameplay, and then we'll get a little bit more into the details because it's kind of a tricky thing to explain. And you can go into 4-person missions in this, so it's kind of like a Left 4 Dead thing. You can join in with anybody, you can have friends, you can have a clan. It's pretty easy to get a match, although not every match will be good because some people just have really bad loadouts. We'll get back into that when we talk about the mods and everything. So every mission, it kind of does a little cutscene. Basically, I always skip those. The Lotus tells you what you need to be doing. There's a small thing that kind of showed up that told you you can get like extra bonus experience and stuff. So when I first started playing this, they had a big weapon update in update 11, and it kind of changed how the guns and everything worked. And they just had another update that allowed you to actually equip your sword or knife or whatever melee thing you have equipped, and then you can use like a channeling thing is what it's called, and it does extra damage. But for now we'll just stick with the guns. But the frame here I'm using right now is a Rhino. Every frame has their own different thing. I think I only have 2 abilities equipped on him because that's all you really need with him. First one is Rhino Skin, kind of gives you a little shield, and the next one is the Rhino Stomp, which is incredibly useful. It just hits everybody up into the air. Everybody is slowed for a while. It does lots of damage. Rhino is the guy you really need. He's kind of a fallback. There's a couple others I'll get into a bit more later. So, enemies. There's the Grenier, Corpus, and Infested. Grenier and Corpus are dudes. They shoot at you. You shoot at them. Yada yada. Infested's kind of zombie-ish. Infested's definitely the best, but they kind of switched that around. So you can, run around, fire. You have scopes. It's actually very mobile. You have wall runs. They don't always work because it kind of flings you sometimes. You can climb on just about anything, go anywhere. You know, the whole biz of being a ninja. Space ninjas. You got your map. Oh, yes. I totally forgot what button my map was, but that is a very good feature that not games have, is you can switch which side the camera is on, and it's actually super helpful, and it's like something that I personally don't use much, but just the fact that it's there is like super amazing. So I'm gonna try and... So the mission I'm doing right now is Exterminate, which on the minimap it just shows where the dudes are, and I have to go and kill the dudes, and it says how many dudes. There's totally other missions. There's like survivals, defenses, you have to do rescues. It gets all over the place. But as a first-time player, like when you first join up, survivals and defenses, you won't be able to do as much unless you join up with somebody who knows what they're doing. And that all comes again back down to the mods. That's the main thing about this game, is the way the mods work and everything. Now I'm totally just not really paying attention to what I'm doing. Let's do a little stompy stomp. So this is... Actually, I think the first mission was originally a capture, and now they've changed it to an exterminate, which is kind of a bit better, because when you first join up a game like this, is all you want to do is just shoot things, because all the guns are fairly awesome. And it's somewhat balanced. It was more balanced before they did the weapon update. Because before that, it was just fire, ice, and electricity, or any elements you could put on a gun, and then it was just the gun stats. So, you know, you had certain guns to do better than others. But now with the new update, it hasn't quite met its balance, because now there's like poison and toxic and all this other stuff, and certain things make other things, and it's kind of confusing to figure out. So, if you weren't a high level, when these guys run around, they'll run around to like these consoles, and they'll start triggering an alarm, and people will start coming in more and more. So if you're not doing an exterminate that has a set number of enemies, it'll just keep spawning dudes. And that's kind of where the stealth comes into this, because you can have weapons that do no like noise when you fire them. So you can like throw an arrow and it'll hit a dude next to another dude and they won't care. They'll be like, oh, what happened? Oh, never mind, and then just keep walking. And you can even put on like a mod for the bows that make the arrows explode. So you can shoot an arrow and they'll explode and everyone else will still just be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. But as soon as someone sees you and they hit the alarm, then everybody on the whole ship knows where you are and stuff. So that it's not like the best stealth mechanic in the game, and I think they're trying to work on it. Maybe the last kind of event they had was a stealth thing where if they saw you, then the prisoner you're supposed to be taking would be like executed, so you had to try to be stealthy, but at the same time everyone kind of just muscled it and killed everyone before they hit the alarm. So
Mission complete.
that's a basic mission right there. You get your credits, which are in-game money, and it kind of shows how things level up. I totally forgot to show off the secondary weapon, but you can just switch back and forth. Fairly simple stuff, first person, or third person I guess, shooter. But now we gotta get into the more complex stuff. And that's all the mods. So, when I was saying level up, you get, it starts at nothing, it doesn't have a ranking. Every time you level up, it gives you a little bit of experience to level up your main thing. Some weapons have like a limit to what you can use them. Like I think the highest one is 8, so once you reach rank 8, there's no real reason to keep like getting all the weapons and leveling up to a higher point rather than bigger dick status on mine. I have a friend who's like 15, I think, because he has everything except for one. But with the mods, you go in here and you have so many points. So if you're level 1, you'll have 1 point, and then you have to, you know, put in a mod and it does whatever effect the mod says. This one gives me more energy rate, this one does this. There's auras, which there's no reason to not ever have an aura, because let's see, energy siphon here, if I put that in there, it gives me more. Auras give you more points to put stuff in. And there's these little symbols up in the corner here. Those the polarities will match up with the mod that you're putting in, and it will half the points that the mod takes. Now, as you can see over here, some of these have like higher mod points and they have like little things on the side that do more. That's because you need to level them up. And this is where the game gets kind of farmy, because you start out with nothing. Let me just, yeah, okay. You start out with nothing, and you have to build up. So you come over here and it'll show you all your mods, and you'll have, you know, something at 0, and you'll get like cores are the best thing because they're basically designed to level stuff up. But some of these things are so rare to get that there's a couple people who've been playing for years and don't have some of the major ones that you need. I mean, like, you can get tons of them. I think there's a couple that I have 150 of, and I don't ever need them because they're pointless. It's like, ooh, a little bit of faster reload for this gun that is super fast reloading anyways. I don't need to use that. And then there's other things like serration here. It just does gun damage, and every build you ever want is probably going to have serration on it. And then there's like stuff like split chamber, which like doubles how many fires you do, and it's just like these are things you kind of need. You need these on these gun builds, but you don't get them until like later on in the map. So when you're a new player, you don't have any really good mods to put on your guns. Your guns aren't as good, so you have to do a lot of farming to level up. It's not that fun. That's like the worst part of this game, is like, oh, I need this mod for this gun before I can move on because I'm just not strong enough. And and then on the same note, you have, this is how you get stuff. You get blueprints. You can go to the market and buy the blueprint, or they'll drop a blueprint. But then you have a blueprint you'll need to use items for, which you'll just get from crates and stuff in the level. You saw me break a couple open. And then this is where the free-ish part kind of comes in. Since you have, like, some of these take 12 hours to build, this one takes 24 hours to build, and it's like, you can, yeah, have some stuff building here, and I can rush it if I want and use the platinum, which is the real money. So it's like, if you're really patient, you can just farm a bunch and let things build. But that's a lot. This is a lot of stuff that you need to build. I think if I go back over here, inventory, I think you start out with 4 slots for characters. And I think there's like 20 something different kind of frames you could have. And each of them need to level up to 30, and each of them have their own different builds, and each of them can do their own thing. So it's like, they give you 2. They give you like a mag. This is the mag prime. I'll get into that in a little sec. And an Excalibur. And maybe another one. I think it's just those 2 is what they give you when you start out. You can choose either one. And mag is good, but if you don't have the right stuff to build her, then she's not as good for a first-time player. She's kind of more of a caster, so you want to be able to just use your abilities all the time, but then you don't have enough stuff to like actually give yourself powerful abilities. So you kind of just have to rely on your guns, and then you're squishy. You're squishy. Rhino is not a squishy character. He's a tank. Mag would squishy. And Excalibur, so everyone usually goes with Excalibur. Excalibur is usually the good choice for a beginner. It's very basic dude run around slash attack. Rhino is always good. Let's see. The ones you really need are kind of Rhino and Nova are the 2 main ones. I have a couple friends who say you need Ash or Loki. Those dudes go invisible, which is helpful, but not always the situation you need. And these guys, the Rhino and Nova, why do I keep fucking saying? They're kind of the fallbacks for me. Kind of fallbacks for a lot of people because they just do massive amounts of damage, and they can last a while. Like Nova has molecular prime. Oh my god, I cannot talk. Which, when you use it, all enemies around you become slowed and take double damage. And when you kill one, they explode and blow everything else around you. So it's like, you could, if you have the right build, you can just spam that non-stop. So it comes down to, do you have the mods, which can only be found over here, but you only have access to these 2 areas. So it's the main drawback of this game, in the fact that you have to do so much just to be able to play it right. And don't get me wrong, it's still good, it's still fun to run around and shoot things and run off of walls and explode everything, but they're kind of not taking it the best way. The team that makes this, even though they work super hard on it. There's been updates, and then they spent the next 2 days without sleeping fixing shit. They're amazing. You gotta give them love, but they're not handling it the best. So we got the market. Let me show you this quick before I go back into that. So you can either just buy whatever, or you can, buy whatever, or you can go in and get the blueprints for the credits, with the credits, in-game money, and then you need to get the stuff for the blueprints. Now, some things just don't quite add up with the blueprints, because I think, no, okay. So there's some items, like the Orkin cells here, they're fairly rare. They're hard to get. You have to go farm certain people to get them, and you don't always get them, and some of them you need 10. This is a prime, which, again, I'll get into in a little second. And so getting all this stuff is a lot of farming. You can go to the store and buy it, but it's like 15 for 1. And I think it's like 75 platinum for $5. So it's not going to get you much, and it's quite a bit. There are some things that are like, oh, I'll throw some platinum at that, like all the color packs. The color packs are fun, really kind of customize your character a bit. That's what it should be. And then there's a couple times, like on holidays, where they'll throw you something for free or for like 1 credit. So it's like, oh, why wouldn't I get that even if I never use it? Because it's like 1 credit in-game money. Whatever. But they just recently added an element called argon, and it has a half-life. Now, I used all mine just recently to build the helmet here for this guy, which is their newest dude. But it has a half-life, so when you get it, it'll kind of show up over here in this area, and it will have a timer on it. And unless you use it within like the 20 hours it gives you to use it, it'll go away, and you'll have to get another one. And the dude and helmet now stuff I was just pointing at, I think took 2 on each thing, maybe 2 on one, and then 1 on another. And then one of the weapons they added in the latest update was the katana. The dragon katana is the one I have, but you have to first build the Nikana, which takes an argon and quite a bit to get. But to get the dragon Nikana, you actually have to go over here to your keys, which you can get during survivals and stuff. They'll give you rewards on survivals and defenses. Some of them will be the prime blueprints and stuff, and the primes are basically the same, except they have a little bit of polarity difference. They're a bit better, they look cooler. If you can get them, go for it, but like to get these keys is higher level stuff. I mean, so you go to your clan. You can join up any clan or you can make your own, but when you're in the clan you have to use more resources to build rooms, and then more resources in that room to like research the thing you want to make. Like some of the frames you can only get if you research in the clan. And so it's like if you want to join a big clan, they'll probably have a lot done, a lot more resources coming in, everything will happen faster. But you go to the clan and you research the thing, and then once you have it, you have to have the first Nikana to use to build to make the dragon Nikana, plus 2 argon crystals. So you have to go into one of these towers to get it. And so if you're a low level and you're like, oh, I want that sword, you probably first have to be a higher level to actually use it, and then 2, you have to be a higher level to actually get the keys to go get the argon to go make it. And it gets this big, huge, like there's sometimes where I'll get into a spot where I finished leveling up the guns I want, and now I don't want to play it anymore because it's just farming. It's just farming. But again, this game is great. It's awesome. You should check it out. I'll probably do a little bit more playing through here. If you really want to get into all of the builds and like the mods and stuff, go check out a friend of mine called Sherpa Rage. He does a lot of builds. Little shout out for him. He's the one who has like every weapon except one, and that's dropped by the Stalker. And I'm going to talk about the Stalker and all that as I do it on the run through, so you're not just sitting here looking at a screen. We'll just go do a defense or something real quick so I can stay in one area. Mobile defense. We'll do a survival. We'll get that going. But the Stalker is a ghost frame, you could say. And this frame will randomly show up while you're playing. So right, if you showed up for me right now, he would, like, the lights would flicker and, oh god, whatever. The lights would flicker and, I'm not paying attention. This is so embarrassing. Okay, that one's kind of weird. That's the hacking, by the way. You can do that to set off alarms, to turn off alarms and stuff. But the Stalker, the lights will flicker, he'll show up and he'll be like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. And before the update 11 with the weapons and stuff, at a certain point you could just kill him easy. And like any weapon that was good, you could just shoot him and he'd die, and then he'd drop maybe a blueprint if you're lucky. Because he has such a rare chance to show up in the first place, he has an even rare chance to drop any blueprint for the weapons he uses, which is a bow, the kunai, and hate, which is a big scythe. I could have equipped that, but whatever. That one's my favorite because I love scythes. They're my jam. But he rarely shows up, so you kind of have to play around until he does if you want any of the stuff he drops. And they've kind of been adding more, so now the Grenier has these like super Grenier bros that kind of drop in, and they'll drop the Brack, which is a secondary shotgun, and that one's really good. And then there's the Zanuka or whatever, which is this one guy took a bunch of frames and combined them into this dog thing that'll chase you down. So like all three of those are like things that'll just randomly kind of invade your game, and if you're playing by yourself and you die, you'll have to use a revive. And the revives are, they give you like 4 every day. So if you have 4, you're not going to get any more. But if you like keep dying and you use a revive, then you'll get more later the next day. And if you run out, then if you die, you'll just have to start the mission over. Like if you die and you revive, you'll just come back right where you are, and like full health and stuff. If there's people in your mission, then they can like revive you, so before you go down. If you go down, you'll have like a timer and stuff. But I forgot what I was saying now. But with the Stalker and stuff like that, that's the only weapon he needs, so he's kind of just messing around doing whatever, leveling stuff up. And I really kind of wish they'd changed the drop rates on it, because like I was saying, some of the stuff you just need, and some of the stuff I don't even have yet. I have a friend, not Sherpa, a friend who's been playing this longer than us, before like when all the bosses look the same, and now they have like special things for the bosses, and now bosses do special things. And the bosses will drop blueprints for frames, most of them. Some of them you have to build, some of them are rare, and you have to like get random drops or random events. But since stuff like that happens, it's kind of deteriorating me from the game a bit. Deterring, not deteriorating. Ugh. It's just so weird, man. This game is so good, but they're kind of messing it a bit. Oh, one more thing I want to talk about here before I just kind of off of nothingness is everything has a max level of 30, and when it hits 30, it'll have its most mod points. Oh, that's what I forgot to talk about. When you're upgrading a gun and the mod points are there, there's these certain kind of cells, Orkin catalysts. Everyone calls them potatoes. It's potatoing your weapon. And what that does is it doubles the amount of points you have. And these are, you mainly have to buy them. They're starting to do more and more events where, like a special event where there'll be an alert, and you go do the alert and you get that, when normally you get just money. And you can do that whenever, but once your weapon hits 30, that's its max. And then if you have a Forma, it'll bring your weapon back down to level 1, and it will change a polarity on one of the mod slots. And then you can put better mods on it, more higher level mods. So again, this comes back to the thing of the more you play it, the more you're going to level up, but if you don't have the right stuff or the right builds, it'll end up not doing much. Like I think before the Dragon Nakana came along, there was a weapon called the Galatine, and it was this giant greatsword, and its crit damage was huge, and it was like you had to be level 6, I think, to get it, to use it. And once you had it, you could do missions with nothing but melee, just because it was so good. If you had that, the Soma, which I'm using right now, which is just an assault rifle, but it does such crit damage, everything will just die. It's like you can use any build, every build's viable if you're good enough, but there's some builds that are just like, why would you not use that? Why would you never not use this weapon when you needed to actually do something? It's kind of the fallback stuff, like I was talking earlier with the Rhino and Nova. They're good enough to really handle any situation, but after a while you get bored of playing them, so you want to get more characters. So you have to do more farming, and I can't tell if I'm trying to sell this game to you guys or say stay away from it, because it's really hard to say. It is fun, but you really have to play it with friends, because it'll be more fun running around doing all this stuff than it will be to to just sit here by yourself like I'm doing. Like, there'll be times where it's just like, oh, I just need to go do this, I just want to do this, and whatever, I'll just come over here and do whatever. There's a lot of little glitches like that. There's a lot of times, like the scarf thing I'm wearing is a little extra you can buy. Those will sometimes freak out and go everywhere. If you're in the dojo and you scope in, it doesn't give you your weapons. You kind of just stand there with your hand out, and then it does like the weird overlapping of anything in front of you, so you look huge. It's fun. But like I was saying, you really kind of have to get into it enough, or be super patient to play this game, because everything I've just said, like the past, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, I'm doing nothing here. I could wait till 10 minutes and get more items. That thing you saw that gave me credits. Like every 5 minutes on a survival will give you stuff, but I'm done. I've said what I needed to say. Go play it. It's free-ish. If you like it enough, you'll probably spend some money on it. This game sucked way too much money out of me, but it's still fun. You just kind of have to be careful about how much money you put into it, because it'll definitely take your money if you let it. That's all I needed to say. So go check it out. I'll be sitting here probably doing more of this, or Dark Souls. Dark Souls has taken over my life. Goodbye, everybody.